Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Evolving Consciousness. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. In this video is the part 2 of the 4 laser focuses of history makers. If you haven't watched the part 1, I would highly recommend you to watch the part 1 because it sort of is a continuation. This video is going to be a continuation of that particular video. And in that video, we spoke about the number 2 of the 4 key focuses of history makers. And to just revise what we talked about in that video, the number 1 thing which we talked about in that video was capitalizing your IQ, and the number 2 was freedom from distraction. Couple of points which I missed out on this topic of freedom from distraction, and I thought that it was very instrumental and something which you all can draw inspiration from. Now, there's an amazingly scientific study which has come up which says that the attention span of goldfish is about 8 seconds. And you will be amused to know that human beings have bet the goldfish. It's less than 8 seconds. The attention span of an average human being is less than 8 seconds. Can you believe that? So pathetic is our consciousness because of a plethora of factors. And also, I talked about this concept, right? One of the more powerful ways to avoid distraction is to understand, is to sort of contemplate on this fact that the time of each of our lives is limited. And when we have this sense of consciousness, a lot of distractions automatically fall apart. Things which really matter are the things which are only going to stay with us. We are only going to invest our attention on those particular aspects. Now, there are a couple of real life examples, people who we all know, and they talked a lot about this aspect, right? Now, there was an interview of Shah Rukh Khan wherein he says that the journalist asked him that, Shah Rukh sir, how would you like to, spend the last days of your life, and how would you like to probably live your retirement life? So Shah Rukh said something very monumental and something very moving, to say the least. He said that if it is my last day in this planet, in Earth, right? If it is my last day of life, I would want to die working. I would want to die when the green light of the camera is striking over me. Now, this is a beautiful set of consciousness in the sense it shows the amount of commitment he has towards his work. And there is a beautiful aspect from the Bhagavad Gita which I would like to quote, which says in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna talks about death as a concept, right? And he says, Antakale smaram nityam mamekam shanam vaja, meaning that whatever your state of consciousness is, towards the end of your life, right, when you are going to die, that is the state which is going to sort of decide your entire lifetime which is going to come. Now, whether you believe or subscribe to the school of thought of reincarnation or not is immaterial. Now, this is not some philosophy or a school of thought. We have countless scientific palpable evidences to substantiate that reincarnation is a reality. Now, this was talked about in Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years back. Now, you can understand the propensity and potency of this ancient text and how relevant it stays even after eons of time. Now, why did I bring about this concept? If an average Joe wants to understand what death is, and if he wants to understand what this whole understanding of consciousness is, one need not read hefty scriptures. One can observe this thing which each of us engage in on a day-to-day basis and understand what death is. Just observe your sleep, right? We all sleep during the night. At some point of your life, you will understand that when you sleep, what does happen, right? What happens when you sleep? Essentially, you're sleeping and the next day you get up. It's essentially the death of your thinking. During the time of your sleep, right, you are not engaging in any conscious activity. Sure, there can be unconscious thoughts, and as a result of that, you could get dreams. But there is no conscious thinking. That essentially is death, right? For that period of time, you are dying. Now, why did I bring up this example? Now, there's a very important reason why I brought up this example. Now, you would have observed in your own day to day life that when you sleep, right, in a bad state of mind, the next day, getting up the next day is very difficult. It becomes an effort in itself to get up. However, if you are sleeping, if you have had a good day and you're sleeping in a good mood, right, in the rightful state of mind, the next day seems to be amazing. Now, the reason I brought up this concept is fundamentally there are two sides to this. Number one, when we contemplate on death, right, we automatically lose interest in distractions. We focus on what is important, and also, as per the Bhagavad Gita, which talks about this concept of reincarnation and the importance of having the right consciousness when we leave the body. Now, there may be a lot of misinterpretations to this, right? And it's very important to understand this very important dimension that having the right state of mind throughout our life is very important, because nobody knows when we're going to leave the body, right? Now, this is a different tangent and probably is not the main focus of this video, but I wanted to bring about this very important point. If you look at the way Abdul Kalam ended his life, he was delivering a lecture in one of the NIT, one of the IIMs, right? So he was delivering a lecture. He left his body then. Now, that is a great way to exit the body. When you are engaging in something you're passionate about and you exit the body, that's an amazing way to exit your life. Also, when you understand and contemplate on this concept of death, you realize that probably that whatever the way you're functioning throughout the day, is this thing, what am I doing, am I creating something which will stay even when I am not around? Now, one of the inspirations why I created this YouTube channel is that nobody knows when they are going to expire, right? Now, this is not to give you a pessimistic standpoint. Essentially, the reason I made this YouTube channel, and I probably will be making a lot of videos consistently over a period of years, and I probably have a very long life, but essentially the basis which I wanted to establish here is, even when I'm not around, somebody out there might look at my videos and probably his life would become 1% better than he originally was, then I think my job is done. Essentially, that's what my motive and intention was behind uploading a lot of videos and sort of creating this channel. I don't care about the applause, I don't really want the recognition or all the glorification. Essentially, this content which I am sort of trying to establish and propel and propagate is having this kind of a fundamental thought process. Now, let's get back to the main focus of this video, right, wherein we are going to talk about the next two dimensions, the next two focus areas of history makers, which is coming from the 5 AM Club by Robin Sharma, which is in itself a very pragmatic and a powerful book. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the number 3 of what Robin is talking about. In the number 3 of the focus areas, he talks about the personal mastery equation. Right? Now, when we talk about personal mastery equation, what do we mean by that? Essentially, it boils down, so he's talking about the 4 interior empires. Now, what are the 4 interior empires? According to Robin, each human being needs to work on building these 4 interior empires. And this whole concept is based on the philosophy the world or the results you receive on the outside is essentially a reflection of what is happening in the inside. Basically, he's saying that whatever you are getting on the outside is nothing but a mirror reflection of a kind of person you have become. And coming to the granularity, coming to what are the 4 key highlights, or what are the key dimensions of these interior empires, the number 1 is mindset. Now, we all know that having the right mindset is uber important, is sort of an indispensable requirement for anything substantial, right? The Harvard psychologists of the modern day, they talk about having the right mindset. They talk about the psychology of possibility, building the right perspectives, because your perspectives they sort of manifest as your belief systems, and your belief systems sort of becomes your actions, drives your behaviors. Now, this beautiful example, which I often like to correlate with on perspective, is this: that if you are going towards a tall building, and if you are approaching a tall building from a ground, the building looks extremely tall. But the same building, when you are viewing the building through an aeroplane, that same building looks puny. Essentially, the eyes through which you are looking the situation matter a lot. This is all about perspective. Perspective is what is very important, which sort of builds the foundation of what is called as a mindset. Now, interestingly, most of us, when we hear about mindset, right, when we even dive into self-help literature, this is the only thing we focus on. But Robin says, working on your mindset is only 25% of the entire ball game. He says, most people, why they fail in the self-help literature, right? Now, this has also happened with me, that we read a lot of positive material and we feel pumped up, but later, after a few days, we are like a fizzled out balloon. Now, why does this happen? Robin goes into the detail. He says, without a powerful heart set, a mindset cannot be substantial. Now, what does that mean? He says that heart set is a more powering and a more important dimension to work with, without which all attempts in changing your thoughts is futile. Did you know that it's not only that our brain creates thoughts, even our heart has a certain set of independent intelligence. Did you know that our heart also has neurons? Probably not, right? And it is said that heart also sends messages to the human brain. Normally, the perception which we all have is the brain sends signals to different parts of the body. Sure, that's right, but heart is also 10 times more powerful than the brain, and it sends signals which are more powerful as compared to the brain. That's the reason why positive thinking seems a labor, because we accumulated so much of trash in our hearts. And he says the two most potent practices to sort of deal with your heart set is the practice of forgiveness. And the second practice is the practice of gratitude. Now, forgiveness, right, it seems like a magnanimous quality. But let me tell you that forgiveness is not a magnanimous activity. There's a beautiful quote which says that forgive others not because they deserve forgiveness. Forgive others because you deserve peace. And understand this very important point, right? That we live in a culture where the gods were insulted. Lord Krishna was insulted. Lord Rama was insulted. You and me are normal human beings. So why do we have this so much of a ego issue, and we tend to, sort of create this kind of facades of self-respect? Essentially, they are not self-respect, and the more heavy you become within, all your attempts on positive thinking are going to go to complete waste. And he says that one beautiful quote by Sigmund Freud, the father of modern day psychology, he says that the pain, the ancient wounds which you carry, they were buried alive. And when they come up, when they get out of the grave, they are going to be more dangerous than the most ugliest zombies. And they are going to haunt you through your entire life. So that's how important this virtue of forgiveness is. And also he says that forgiveness is half the battle won when we want to work on heart set. He says, other than forgiveness, there's also another thing you need to work on. And that another thing is gratitude. Now, when we talk about gratitude, a lot of people find it very artificial, right? What is there in being grateful? I mean, it feels good, but this is something I deserve, right? Why should I feel grateful for something I deserve? Now, the thing is, the irony is that most of us don't know how much grateful we really need to feel in life. Most of us, we love, why people love going to movies? There's a beautiful psychological nuance to this. The reason why most of us love going to movies, because when you enter a theater, essentially you are being shown something which is not real. And the reason why Marvel movies become international blockbusters is because people relish things which are as figments of imagination, things which have nothing to do with reality. And there's a beautiful thing which probably you haven't heard of. Do you know why theaters are made dark? So that you are completely unaware of reality. You are so submerged in that movie that you lose sense of reality. What am I trying to say with all this? Essentially, I'm trying to bring to your attention that most of us don't want to face our reality. We don't want to face our demons. If you want to see reality, I will recommend you to go to an hospital. That is life. That is reality. Just look at the pain and suffering people are going through. The movies, sure, it might sound very entertaining. But if you go to the hospital, you'll understand how blessed you are. How much grateful you really need to be for life. The fact that you are able to watch this video is a miracle in itself. Many people who slept yesterday were not able to get up today morning. Now, this is not philosophy, this is a fact. There are countless people, as I'm making this video and as you're listening this video, they are probably losing their life. So every second of a life deserves gratitude. And Robin says that gratitude is such a powerful emotion that it brings a perspective shift in your heart set. And when your heart set is tuned, working on your mindset becomes very easy. Because if you're only going to work on mindset, only positive thoughts, that's a very fragile way to function and you won't probably succeed in a lasting way. But when you work on your dimension of heart, which sort of encapsulates this quality of forgiveness and gratitude, you are being able to work on your heart set. Now, coming to the third interior empire which Robin talked about, he's talking about this dimension called health set. Right? Now, health set is a no-brainer, right? So you probably are thinking, I'm going to be talking about the importance of maintaining the good health. One thing I want to bring to your attention, oftentimes a lot of us, right, we belittle the importance of having good health. We belittle the importance of maintaining peak vitality, peak shape. Most of us think exercise should only be done when we are out of shape or when we want to show our body, right? When we want to build our body and show our biceps, triceps and our 6 packs, 8 packs. Now our intentions are itself so filthy, right? When we want to exercise, we should essentially exercise not to look good, but essentially we need to exercise because we want to sort of respect this body in the sense that we want to sort of keep it disease free. And we can also exploit our full mental cognitive bandwidth. I made a video called Dose of Bliss wherein I talked about the different neurotransmitters, and in all neurotransmitters, exercise was one instrument. If we did on a day-to-day basis, on a regular basis, it's not only helping our body, right, but it also helps our mental cognitive bandwidth. It also is very important for our overall mental well-being. And being healthy is also a sort of a long-term insurance policy for a longer life and also a life filled with health, right? Because see, we can all have a long life, but if that long life is impeded with diseases, it's so unfortunate. Today you probably have heard of different news in recent past. People who are in their early 30s, in their early 40s, they have had severe heart attacks and they lose their life. Now these people are celebrities. They have everything in their life. They are enjoying life. They are having the happy time. But why did this happen to them? Now there are a lot of reasons to this. One thing, the Shastras and all the scriptures have also said that even the Ayurveda, right, the whole school of Ayurveda says that the people who sort of excessively engage in sense gratification, towards the end of their life, they are the ones impeded with chronic diseases. I want to tell you the story of Michael Jackson. Now, Michael Jackson is a famous personality. Everybody knows about him. But Michael Jackson sort of consulted his nutritionists, and he said that I want to live a long life, right? And you tell me what are the diet which is needed to live a long life. So the nutritionist comes up with a template of the things he needs to have. And Michael Jackson sees that and he says, man, this is such a dull menu. How will I enjoy life? How will I gratify my senses if I eat all this? I don't want to have this healthy diet. I want to just enjoy life. And what happened, everyone knows, right? He died at the age of 50. Now, why did I bring up this example of Michael Jackson? Most of us have a very crippled understanding of happiness, that if we enjoy as much as possible, that is the sure short way of happiness. That is a part of happiness, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do anything, but excessive sense gratification to any kind of sense, right? You are very well intelligent enough to understand what I'm talking about. That is an impediment to our health, and that will create a lot of subtle disturbances in our health. Hence, our scriptures also talked about sense regulation. And health is such an important dimension which we often ignore until we are faced with a life-threatening situation. So Robin says that health set is one of those instrumental pillars of the interior empires which cannot be ignored and should not be ignored if you don't want life to ignore us. Now coming to the fourth and the final piece of the four interior empires. Now he talks about soul set, right? Now, when we talk about soul set, right, many people would sort of think about spirituality in general. And he says that we can work on mindset, heart set, and health set. But do we know how to connect with our own selves? Do we know what our own selves want? It is said that we were born perfect, but as we grew up, we sort of were conditioned by society to function in a certain way. The society damaged our once free soul into their own ways of thinking, behaving, into their own versions of what is considered to be normal. And Robin says to work on your soul set. And he says that the number one way you can work on your soul set is through the practice of solitude, is through the practice of stillness. And when you connect with your own self, because let's understand, we are going to be with ourselves for our entire life. People may come and go, but you cannot escape from your own self. And it's very important to build this relationship with your own self. And soul set is also about understanding this very important aspect of this impermanence of life, right? The fact that we are going to be here for a limited amount of time. And this limited amount of time, how can I sort of hone the skills which I have been gifted with in the service of others? And in yesterday's video, I talked about the 4 levels of happiness, right? In the ladder, wherein I talked about spirituality to be the highest source of happiness. So Robin is also talking about the soul set dimension. And he says the more you connect with yourself, the more you hone your skills so that you become a service to others, so that you become an instrument of service to others and you leave them better than you found them. That in itself is a way of expanding your soul. We all need expansion. And working on your soul set is one of the most powerful ways to expanding your souls. And this was about the 4 interior empires which he talks about in the personal mastery practice. Now let's go to the second and the last part of this entire concept of the 4 focuses of history makers. Now the second concept he calls something called as day stacking, right? Now what is day stacking? Now this is basically based on the premise on the school of thought that 1% change over a period of time, small insignificant changes over a subsequent period of time or a long period of time leads to a tsunami of change. Now he gives this fascinating example of a sailboat. A 1 degree change or a 1 degree maneuver in the course of the sailboat at the ship completely changes the destination of the journey. And this is what Robin encourages us to do. He doesn't say that we need to take monumental shifts and we need to take monumental actions. He says that start small, think big, act now. This is his core philosophy, right? Start small, think big, act now. And this concept of day stacking is basically the fundamental aspect of taking baby steps. He's not saying that we need to take 100% action. He's saying that 1% improvement in every dimension of your life over a period of time is going to seem a lot. 1% change, a 1% improvement in your personal life, in your health, or in any other dimension of your life over a period of 365 days will have a 365% increment in that. Now, this is something which is very important. We often belittle the importance of a single day, but what we fail to realize is our days are our life in miniature. The days will slip into weeks, and the weeks into months, and months into years, and before we know it, our life will come to a full stop. This might sound philosophical, but this is not philosophical, this is reality. And once we understand the power of day stacking, you will know how to prioritize your time. Right? Now, there's a lot of talk about time management, but according to me, time management is not the right word to use. It should be a more appropriate word would be focus management. How would you like to focus your day on certain activities, on very few activities which are sort of high value activities for you, which you cannot compromise on? It's less to do with time management and more to do with priority management and focus management. I hope my today's video brought a lot of sense to you, and I shared certain things which probably were unaware in your own understanding, right? Probably you are not knowing of those concepts which I spoke about. Thank you so much for your time on my today's video. I'm really grateful. I know it's been a long video, and I really applaud your dedication towards the stretch of my video. And if you really loved the video, don't forget to share this video with a couple of your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you really enjoyed the video. Thank you so much, and I'll meet you in the next video. Bye.